Good to have you back, and stay tuned because you don't want to miss the ongoing development concerning El Salvador and Bitcoin. Okay, now to inform you, you see, El Salvador became the first country in the world to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender after the country's lawmaker on the 10th of June, thereabout 2021, endorsed President NAYIB BUKELE'S proposal to embrace the digital currency. The question is why and what happened? Stay tuned for details. Meanwhile, this video is for financial education purposes, so thank you. Grab some water, popcorn, and then subscribe. And for those who do not know about Bitcoin, okay, let me tell you about Bitcoin. You see, Bitcoin is a digital currency, a peer-to-peer electronic system, meaning no paper money to print or coin to mint like the traditional money known as fiat money. I'm referring to the dollars, the pound, etc. And it is not regulated or controlled by government and banks. In effect, Bitcoin is decentralized, and Bitcoin connects buyers of goods and services through a well-secured keys. To know more about Bitcoin, please check my video titled Bitcoin Cryptocurrency and Blockchain Simplified. You will see the clip at the end of this video. And then, in defense of the adoption of Bitcoin, the president stated that Bitcoin has a lot of potentials, and as such, it will help El Salvador living abroad to send remittance back home. Besides, and I quote, it will bring financial inclusion, investment, tourism, innovation, and economic development for our country, end quote. This was recorded in a tweet Bukele sent shortly before the voting Congress, which is controlled by his party and allies. However, apart from the reason you just heard, the primary reason is that the economy of El Salvador is at stake, and the most possible or viable solution for now is the adoption of the Bitcoin. So what does it mean? Okay, stay tuned. Don't worry, I'll break it down. You see, El Salvador, very interesting to hear this. National currency is the dollar. Question is how? Why? Well, I will explain. You see, El Salvador abandoned its currency, the colon, quote unquote colon, named after Christopher Columbus, in 2001 and adopted the US dollars at its legal tender. The question is why? Well, because of the consequences of the civil war in the country that negatively impacted the economy, and hope that the dollar will boost the economy. Hence, the process of official dollarization was perceived as a strategy that would not only reform but curb inflation and assume it will increase trade with the US and boost the national GDP. Well, however, in the case of El Salvador, dollarization does not seem to have improved the economic development. You see, according to data, El Salvador economic growth since adoption of the dollar as the official currency in 2001 has not been any higher than it was during the years before leading to the dollarization. El Salvador saw higher growth rate in the years before it adopted the dollar. Very interesting. And another reason is due to the instability exacerbated by the high crimes in the country, and consequently investment did not flow into the country as much anticipated due to the instability, and then also because investors believe their money and capital is not secure in that country. And it may come to you as a surprise that under this dollarization regime, El Salvador has no control over its monetary policy. You want to ask me why? Well, because adopting the US dollar as its official currency, El Salvador has ceded its authority over the money supply and interest rate to the US Federal Reserve. So you want to ask me what is the implication of this? Good question. Well, because of this action, the government has to depend on taxes and spending to stimulate the economy, which inevitably has resulted in a higher deficit for the country over the decade. Okay, now let us examine the country performance vis-a-vis the GDP. Just bear with me. Okay, now, and let me read this to you. Okay, bear with me. All right, now you see what happened with dollarization. The government promised, and I'm reading this now by Professor Roberto Canas, who says with dollarization, the government promised the arrival of abundant investment, more export, and quality jobs that never came. The outcome has been negative, summarizes by the professor Roberto Canas. It goes to say import continue to exceed export, and average annual economic growth has been 2% of GDP in 2020. A contraction of 8.6% is expected due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And then according to ECLAC, the situation is complicated because public debt is around 90% of GDP. And if the indebtedness, expected for 2021 is realized, the commitment again could reach 104.5% of GDP. Well, I'm convinced you get the picture. And to tell you, in another development, the IMF seems not to agree with El Salvador's decision to adopt the digital currency. Listen to the recent statement, and I quote, adoption of Bitcoin as legal tendency raises number of microeconomy, financial and legal issues that require very careful analysis, said Rice, one of the IMF spokesman during the scheduled press briefing recently. And then it goes to say again, and I quote, we are following development closely and we continue our consultation with the authorities, end quote. Moving on. You see, Bitcoin soared on Thursday, a day after El Salvador passed a law to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. The cryptocurrency dropped 6% to more than $37,000, and now during the production of this video is at $39,000. That is a jump of 9%. And to inform you, El Salvador's government is now backing the use of adoption of Bitcoin under the law. Bitcoin must be accepted by firms when offered as payment for goods and services, and tax contribution can also be paid in cryptocurrency. Okay, now what is your opinion? Is it a good idea by El Salvador government to adopt Bitcoin as a legal tender? Please, I'd like to hear your comment. Okay, here comes the best part. Remember, our target is 500 subscribers. Okay, and the goal is to generate wealth, build companies, and create jobs. Thank you. See you soon. Bye now.